Hello everybody, welcome. Today we're gonna be talking about a tier list for Omega Strikers. The reason I want to talk about this is because I just felt like it. I just want to get it out of my system, you know, because I've been really wanting to talk about this for a bit. Now, I'm not the best guy to talk about a tier list. I have nowhere near enough hours compared to a lot of other people who have up to 500, 1,000 hours on Omega Strikers. But I think I'm experienced enough, and I think I've played enough games to where I can talk about a tier list. Now, I'm gonna be talking about, this is an ordered tier list, by the way, as you can see. So anyone on the left side, closer to the letter, is higher tier, of course. But yeah, we're gonna talk about the tier of a character, how strong they are in both goalie and forward, but also most likely gonna be talking about their build, or I'll put it in post editing. But if you do enjoy, subscribe, like, comment, you know, the classic stuff, you know, help me out a bit here. But yeah, let's get into it. So on the top of S tier, I personally think Juliette. Juliette is a character that's insanely strong. Reason being is because she can brawl out anyone. She is the pinnacle of brawling. She can kill anyone in like 2 hits. She builds for pure damage or cooldowns, meaning that she could keep on brawling more and more and more the longer and the more she attacks something. And she counters a lot of good characters. Like a lot of good characters. For example, Era, Estelle, Kai, and basically every other brawler in the game, they could not do anything. Also, Asher. She can completely demolish Asher in a one-on-one fight with the pure just damage she has. She has some of the best damage in the game, and it's hands down just uncontestable. Another thing about her is her goalie game isn't the best. It works. It's very strong. It works. But it's not as good as her forward. Her forward is super menacing, and if you come up against a solid Juliette, you will not be able to fight her properly. Especially if you're somebody that's playing a spellcaster, like Era, maybe Juliette, or even if you're playing a lower tier brawler like Drek'ar and X, you will not be able to contest her at all. This is her field, and she's gonna take whatever that you want, which is the core and your health. Next up on the tier list, I would put Era. Era is one of my characters. I play Era a lot. Era is one of my favorite characters in Omega Strikers. She's also very, very strong. She's a super good support, both in forward and goalie, and she has a lot of stuff that you can do with her. She's a very setup heavy character, but when you learn how to play her, it pays off. She has some of the best debuffs in the game. She can minimize a character and also make them slower, meaning that they take more damage, they have a smaller hitbox to strike the core, and they also are slower, like way slower, for like a good 3 seconds, 1 to 3 seconds maybe. Her goalie game is really good as well because her haste affects such a big area where you can haste your teammates, for example, at the start of the game, while you just stay in goalie, preparing and whatnot, just readying. And this is further improved by the fact that her ult, is a setup super where you put it on the ground and then you can unleash it whenever you want, or until the duration expires. And it's a really good ability. You can knock people out very easily with it. It does a lot of damage. It stun locks enemies very easily, like super easily. And you can also use your E to help allies, but also stopping enemies from trying to strike the core into your goal. Which is why I personally say that she is S tier. She is solid. She is just awesome. She's a very good character and definitely is very useful in just every team comp. I think I would personally say every team comp she's basically necessary because she's just useful. She's very useful. Next up, we have Asher. Everybody loves her. Everybody hates her. She's a super fun character, but she is super dumb. She is so strong. It's insane how strong she is. Asher is she can be played goalie and forward. I think her original role was supposed to be a goalie, but they just made her so strong because of her passive and the fact that she does so much damage that she can be played forward just as well. Her passive, for those that do not know, is whenever you use an ability, you get a small tiny shield in front of you that reflects the core, aka the ball, and also just hurts enemies. And you can also redirect this shield by striking in a specific direction. And this makes it so that she can just fight you. She can brawl you out in your own goal. And I did post a clip of this not long ago where I just completely brawled like 3 people out in their own goal, and they could not get the ball past me because I pressed my E, I pressed my W, they could not get the ball past me because of my shield, and then I pressed R to settle the goal in. It's insane. She's very strong. She has some really good builds that you can use. She does a lot of damage. She is very good at knocking people off the field. Not as good as Juliette though, which is the reason why I put her lower down. And she is a very good goalie. She can stop so much, especially with her W, since her W is a dash that dashes basically instantly. And you can also strike and use abilities during the dash. Plus, you also get a shield from the W. So if you just dash towards the ball, you can easily strike it. And I think that they kind of do need to nerf her, because that shield is insane. It's way too strong. I would say something like, oh, let the shield only be able to strike the core 3 times or something like that, because the shield can strike it infinitely. It's very strong. It's insane. Right, next up. I was a bit torn between the next 2, so I put them. I mean, they're in the same tier, but I put them differently. You don't need to think the same here with this tier list because this is my own opinion, right? But I would personally put Kai as the next one. Kai is a monster. He's a really good character, especially in the right hands. Like, for example, the rank 1 player I think in NA right now is a Kai player. He's a Kai goalie. And the reason being is Kai is a super good goalie. He has a haste that isn't a decaying haste, but rather a permanent haste. That then, goes off cooldown and duration. And he is really good at like contesting people in goals, in your own goal, in the enemy's goal, and just stopping them from striking the core back because of his E. Since his E fires, I think 5 or so fireballs at the enemy. On top of that, you have a super long range R that does so much damage and also knocks people down and out of the arena. Another thing is you can abuse eject button with him a lot. If you use eject button as goalie, for example, you can abuse him as a forward. Like, you can do super aggressive plays as Kai with eject button in goalie. You can do insanely aggressive moves, such as, pressing W at the start of the game, running at the opponents, pressing your E, maybe your R, to just get the ball away from you, and then press W again to just go straight back to your goal. It's really strong, it's insanely good, it's very fun as well. It also works in forward, though a little bit harder to use compared to goalie. But he is very strong. There's a lot of playmaking potential with Kai, and that shows in his personality, his character in general. He's a very good playmaker. He's very fast. He's hard to pin down a lot of the times, especially with something like Cast to Last. He can run for a long time with Cast to Last. But I just think that he's insane. He's a very good character. super good goalie. I'd say one of the best goalies, if not the best goalie in the game. And also a very solid forward. Next one is a bit weaker in goalie, but insanely good in forward. Her name's Estelle. Estelle's a super fucking good forward. She is insane. She is very good. She can catch you off guard a lot. Her cone, you can use your cone in tandem with your Q to combo with it. And it helps a lot because since it's a cone, it's a very big cone as well. If somebody tries to strike the core up or down, or diagonally away from you, you can use the core and catch them. For example, if you're trying to score a goal. This has happened to me a lot. I've been trying to delay my shots, I've been trying to shoot straight up, straight down, you know, trying to not let the Estelle score. But then the cone still hits the core. It's really good, it's a really good ability. Her E, I think, is the, if I remember correctly, it's the line attack, it's a long line attack. That's a very good poke ability. You can snipe enemies with it, which can knock them out because it's a medium hit. And you can also snipe the core with along with the same usage as DW, where you strike the core and then press it again, or you can just snipe it from afar. And then finally, her ult. Her ult is really good. You can it's a teleport. You teleport towards something, and then you strike the closest thing to you, whether it's the core or the enemy. And this you can set up with insane plays as well. For example, you strike the core towards the goalie, the goalie shoots it downwards, and then you follow the core by teleporting down. That's a really good play. That has happened to me a couple of times. It's a very foolproof strategy if you don't expect it, that is. She is insanely good in forward, although she lacks in goalie. You can play her in goalie. Like, more power to you if you can actually manage to play Estelle goalie well and viably. But she is definitely best in forward. Definitely. She is insanely good in forward. Next up, we have my boy Atlas. Atlas, I think, is a super good, top tier character. But the reason I put him in A is because, well, he lacks heavily, and I mean heavily, in forward. He's an amazing support, especially versus brawlers like Juliette. I think that personally, Atlas is a counter to Juliette because of his ult, where he can rescue somebody from being knocked down. He also has a heal, which helps with, you know, stagger damage. He has the bubble that he can use to just completely deny an area for a good 2 seconds. And especially, like, if you combine him with Creator of Durable Things, it just lasts for like 5 seconds. And it's a really good area denial tool. He also has a shield that he can throw out, which is really good for just pushing the core away. And I think that, like, this character is really good. He is almost a must-have in a team. Like, I mean, especially if somebody like Asher or Kai are banned, then I would personally say pick Atlas. Atlas is just such a good character. He is very fun as well. And he counters a lot of bruisers. Well, all bruisers. Again, he suffers a lot in forward, but that's because he is designed to be a goalie. He is the perfect goalie. Next up, I would personally say that Luna goes up in A. Lunas are scary, man. They're really good. She is good in both goalie and forward. She does super massive amount of damage, especially with her ult, her nuclear bomb that she drops. If you stand in the center of that, you are out. You're going out. You're gonna lose at least 80% of your health bar. And if she can pin you in a corner with that, like one of the 4 corners, then you will either have to take the heavy hit or the light hit or the medium hit, and you will most likely fall out. You'll most likely get knocked out because of the knockback of it. its knockback is out of this world strong. It's a really strong knockback. You can abuse her in goalie and forward. Although I think that she is better in goalie because of eject button. Eject button, it works the same as Kai. You want to use her aggressively with her dash, with her flight, or whatever you want to call it, because it hits hard, and you can just eject button instantly away from it. She is really good as forward as well, but again, her dash isn't the best for that. Her dash is mainly useful for goalie, I think, personally. But it's useful. It's useful to just get somewhere. For example, if you just spawned in and the ball is by the enemy's goal, then you can just use your dash to get way closer very quickly. It's a very useful ability. Yes, it is. Next up, in B tier, I would personally pick or say Dubu. Now, the reason I picked Dubu in B tier and not something like A or S tier, so the reason why I think Dubu is better, or worse, I mean, than Atlas, is because he's a double-edged sword. The amount of Dubus I've seen that just completely misses something and just score their own goal or way too slow is insane. It's scary. But this character, man, he is insane. He is super good in the right hands. Like, again, he's a double-edged sword, and he cannot be used in forward. I think he is very bad in forward, from personal experience. A good Dubu is scary because they do not let a goal get in. You can use a lot of stuff with them as well. For example, you can W and then Tofu Fortress, which is his ult. Dash Tofu Fortress is a very good combo. And the dash in general is just sick. It's very good because you don't need to do the full dash. You just need to press W literally in front of Dubu for him to just slam the ground basically, which completely stops the core in place. His ult is a very good denial tool, and it stops basically anything from getting in. Although that's another reason why he's a double-edged sword, because a lot of Dubus struggle with the usage of the fortress, leading to them scoring their own goal. And I've experienced that a lot, where my own Dubus score on our own goal, and it's annoying. It can get annoying, but bear with me. The more Dubus learn to play the game, better he will be. There's also a bug with him called the Dubu bug. I think it's called the Dubu bug, where if you fortress something in a corner, then it will just phase straight through the Dubu Tofu Fortress. His bamboo swing is also very good, does a lot of damage, and knocks the core very far and quickly as well. And all of this just makes him stronger in goalie. He's also huge, he's also massive. He's a super big character, which makes his hitboxes way bigger. And I like it's really good. He's a really good goalie, very weak forward, but he's also a double-edged sword because he can score on your own goal. Next up. Personally, I would say X is B. Why? Well, he first of all is outshined by Juliette in basically every single way possible. Juliette is just a way better brawler. Another reason is he cannot really be played goalie. There are people that play him goalie, and I applaud you for that, but you cannot really play him viably in goalie. He is a very solid brawler. He's not as good as Juliette, so if Juliette's banned, I would personally suggest you play X. He can beat people up very easily, especially with his X Maximus ability. And his E also does a lot of damage, and it knocks back. I've been able to get triple kills with his abilities before. It's a very strong ability. But again, he gets outshined by Juliette, who's just a straight up better brawler. And personally, if I could change anything about the brawlers in this game, I would say that to just nerf Juliette one more time maybe increase their durations, but not durations, cooldowns, or just make her hit less hard, I mean. And maybe bring up Drek'ar and X to a more brawler level where they can actually do something. X can also abuse not Castellas, well, he can abuse Castellas. It's a very good thing because it basically doubles his duration on his ult, meaning that you can brawl for way longer. But you can also abuse extra special, which gives you your ult X Maximus instantly, basically after every round end. You will have your ult back by the time it starts, the next round starts. Always. I personally prefer extra special over Castellas, but I've used both, and they both are really good. Right, now we're at the final tier. This is the tier where, right, don't get me wrong, the characters can be played well. I've seen a lot of good plays on the characters, but if you don't have the knowledge and the skill to be able to just perfectly play them, I personally think that you won't succeed a lot with these characters. You can if you master them. If you can properly play these characters, I think that they're amazing. But most of the people that play them won't really find a lot of success. They won't succeed a lot. The first person in C tier I would say is Juno. Juno's very fun. She's one of the characters I play. I play currently, the three characters I play the most are Era, Asher, and Juno. And she's very good. She's solid in goalie and she's solid in forward, but she requires a lot of setups. She's a very setup heavy character and you need to actually be able to aim and predict where your blobos are gonna go and shoot. One thing I don't like about her is the fact that her ult is random. Her ult is in a random pattern which can completely mess up some combos, but it can also just help so much in combos. Her blobos do a lot of damage, and they knock back slightly, which is pretty good. And her W makes it so she drops a blobo on ability usage, and she also gains elusive, which means that she cannot be hit. She is completely invulnerable. And on top of that, she can use abilities during elusive, which means that you can combo with, for example, WE, WR, or WQ. If you're playing MOBA, that is. Your strike core, you know, your blobo toss, your ult. It's a really good thing. It's a really good combo that she can use. She's very solid in goalie because of her W and the fact that she can put just goalies on the field. She has pseudo goalies. And she can also abuse forward. Some combos, some trainings I like to use on her is, for example, the creator mods, like creator of large things, creator of durable things. You can also use eject button if you're playing goalie and want to do the same strategy as, you know, Luna, Kai. I've seen that eject button works very well on Era, though don't quote me on that. I'm not nearly as experienced with that. Same thing with Dubu. I've heard that it works, but don't quote me on that. And finally, the final tier, the final character, the lowest of the low, personally, I think is Drek'ar. Why? Well, you see, he is nowhere near as good as the other brawlers. He is completely outshined by every brawler. He can be useful, he can be good. There are some people that play Drek'ar very well. One in particular is Ignis. He is the rank 1 Drek'ar player, and he's also just amazing at the game. He plays Drek'ar like nobody else. He has basically mastered Drek'ar, even though this character is very bad. He's a very bad character, but he makes Drek'ar look better. And originally, when I first was gonna do this video, I was going over the tiers of what I think the characters were. I was originally gonna put him in like B or A tier because of how good Ignis makes the character look. But then again, he is not gonna be good in everybody's hands. He is a unique character in the fact that he has a gun. First of all, he has a gun. He also has an incendiary ability, which just does a big damage over time with his ult. and he also has an invis, which can be used for playmaking. And a lot of I watched a lot of Ignis when I was doing this tier list and what he was thinking. And yeah, he also thinks that Drek'ar isn't the best. He thinks that Drek'ar isn't the best character. And he was showing a lot of builds, he was showing a lot of tech with him. But none of that I think will be applicable for most people, because Drek'ar takes a while to learn and to master. And one tip I can give you guys if you do decide to play Drek'ar is you cast to last is a very good ability. It's a very good training for him. His ability lasts way longer and he gets to run way further. If you understand what I mean. A very good ability. Super good, super good. And you can play him goalie, you can play him forward. I would not recommend you play him goalie, but Ignis showed me that it works. You need to use eject button for that, on the other hand. Eject button Drek'ar is an actual thing and it works. Again, you need to master the eject button for that. And forward Drek'ar is it's an alright character. It works. It works. It's not as good as Juliette or X in terms of brawling. I mean, let's be real, nobody's as good as Juliette in terms of brawling. Maybe Asher comes close, that's about it. But I think that he needs a bit of buffs. Maybe to his damage, maybe to the fact that he has such long cooldowns, or maybe just Juliette needs to be toned down. Juliette Asher, because they both outshine him. And Asher's not even supposed to be a brawler. She's a pseudo brawler because of the fact that her passive does so much for her. And I think that needs a bit of change. Like I said, it needs to be 3 hits instead of infinite hits, or they just need to reduce the duration it lasts. Personally, Asher's really fun, but if she is permabanned, I cannot really enjoy her. So they do need to nerf her. Like, she is more banned than Era, and Era is insanely strong. She is super good. Same thing with Juliette, because Asher's passive is so strong. And I think it does need a tweak. But that was my tier list of Omega Strikers. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe if you're new. It helps out a lot. I do variety. I upload mostly variety, but I do play a lot of Omega Strikers recently because it's a really fun game, and you definitely expect more Omega Strikers from me. I really enjoy this game, really fun, and I'm grinding every day basically. It's a fun game, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.